Hey, do me a favor. Just make sure keep an eye on that for me. Okay. Thank you. All right. All I can say is it's about time. Yeah. I felt like I told him last year. Let's make sure this thing's okay. There we go. All right. So let's do a couple things. I need to see kind of feel the room. God is good. God is good, and all the time. Okay. I just need to see what type of room I was in before I get started. It's a couple things. I kind of need you guys to kind of picture something with me for a second. So what I'm gonna be talking about is sustainability and how it's bigger than bookkeeping and bigger than taxes and bigger than strategy. So normally when they have me come speak at these types of conferences, because my background is in taxes, and as young as I look, I've been doing tax. Did you laugh? As young as I look, say, hey man, yeah, you look young. I need agreement. Yeah, you look young. So as young as I look, I've been doing taxes for almost 3 decades. I've been doing taxes since 1996. So I kind of know taxes a little bit, right? So normally when they have me come speak at conferences, and as part of my past history, I normally speak on taxes, bookkeeping, payroll, starting businesses, what type of entity a person or company should be, S corps or LLCs and partnerships and that type of thing. So that's normally what I focus on. But lately, the reason I had to poll the room to get a feel for it, I just need you to understand who I am and what I do. God has been leading me around a different direction. So lately, my focus has been on legacy, understanding our purpose. Why do we do what we do? And then from that, based upon what we do, what do we plan to do with it later? Will it stay standing once we take our hands off the wheel? Right? So that's what I kind of want to talk about. So let me tell you what happened to me the other day. And my daughter, that beautiful young lady back there, that's my daughter. That's Faith. That's my oldest. That's my mini me in female form. The other day, I sent my girls a text. My girls and my wife a text and told them they're not gonna believe what just happened. I was blown away. I was on my way to one of my favorite spots, Smoothie King, to get me something to eat. And the Smoothie King sees this, I'm gonna expect some type of endorsement deal later. But I'm on my way to one of my favorite spots, Smoothie King, and I get there, get into the parking lot, and and I'm gonna need you guys to explain to me what you hear from this story. Okay, I get to the parking lot, open my door to get out, and I look on the ground, and there's a wad of cash sitting on the ground. Right, and it's the other day when it was kind of windy outside. All right, so before I had a chance to even get outside, really, the wind hit that cash and started blowing money all over the parking lot. God is good, right? So I'm thinking, look at God. That's a blessing. I'm actually on my way to pay a bill. You know, right on time, God, right? Raise your hand if you think that's a blessing, right? That sound like. So I get out, I jump out the car, and I step on the biggest wad that's in front of me. I grab it up, put it in my pocket, and now for the next what seems like 20, 30 minutes to me, I'm running around the parking lot, literally chasing money, putting them up. You seen those cash machines where you trying to get money? That's what I look like, chasing money throughout the parking lot. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, this is great. Until it hits me. Once again, sounds like a great day, right? I got a load of cash in my pocket. I'm seeing money. It's like God just raining down money from heaven, right? Then it hits me. 20 minutes before that, I stopped by the ATM machine. 20 minutes before that, I stopped by the ATM machine to pick up some money to pay a bill. When I took the money out of the ATM machine, instead of putting it in my pocket, I put it under my leg. Y'all with me yet? So when I opened the door to the car and stuck my leg out, that was the wad of money that was actually it was my money that I'm chasing around the parking lot. God is good. Praise the Lord, I had the money to go chase. But the blessing changed. Just that quick. And I think what happens with businesses sometimes, if we don't see the full picture of what we're doing with our business, we think we're winning. Let me say that again. If we don't see the full picture with our business, we think we're winning. So on the tax side, I would get clients to come to me and say, Datrick, I just don't want to owe anything on my taxes. And from that, they're thinking, well, since I don't owe anything, I'm winning because I don't have to pay any money back to Uncle Sam. I may get a little refund on my taxes if I have children or I'm able to write something off, but they're not looking at the full picture. They're looking at a snapshot of what they're doing. So what my focus has been on lately is that really what you want your picture to look like? Because how can you leverage no money? So now when you go to the bank and try to get a loan on that business, they're looking at you like you're high risk, right, Marcus? You're high risk in reference to being able to give you money because it looks like you don't make any. So my focus had to change because what happened with me was clients were coming to me at the end of the year to fix problems they've been doing all year long. And I said, it's got to be bigger than that. So it's got to be bigger than bookkeeping. Like I just did a class, Faith and I was just in Chicago a couple weeks ago doing a class on understanding the difference between bookkeeping, accounting, and tax strategy. Raise your hand if you know the difference between the three. And that's scary, business-wise, because we should know that bookkeeping is pretty much keeping up with paying your bills. You can hire your 18-year-old daughter, your child, your son to keep up with your books. If you teach them how to use QuickBooks or something, you can do bookkeeping with Excel spreadsheet. CPAs or accountants, their job is to input that information, look at it, and give you information back on how your business is running. Oftentimes, we don't understand the difference between that. So what happens is we're paying a CPA to do bookkeeping work when they should be explaining you how your business is running, right? So that CPA is supposed to be able to tell you from this profit and loss statement, from this cash flow statement, from this bank statements, from this financial analysis, this is what your business is doing, and these are some changes you may need to make to your business. But we're not holding those people accountable. And then you bring in somebody like me who's a tax strategist, and I look at what the bookkeeper did, I look at what the CPA did, and I tell you how to grow your business. The problem was I wasn't getting this information to the end of the year. So my approach had to change. So now I come along with clients on more of a partnership basis. I'm gonna hold your hand throughout this process. And before we make these big decisions on this next vehicle you purchase for the business or buy this property for the business, let's have a discussion about what your plans are for the future. So we have to have these discussions. So it's bigger than bookkeeping. It's bigger than taxes. It's bigger than even strategy. We've got to now talk about sustainability and legacy. When we take our hands off the wheel, what does this look like? So this is what I'm gonna do. So they gave me an hour to talk. It's bigger than an hour. So what I'm gonna give you is an extra 30 minutes. So if you scan that QR code, and I promise you, after today, this will not be open. This will not be available. You're gonna get a free 30-minute session. We're gonna sit down and talk about your business, your goals, your plans for the future, your sustainability, what type of legacy you want to have, the problems you may have with the business that you may not even know about. If you would like it, that's a free 30-minute session you can take. You scan that QR code or talk to me after the session. Okay. So let's look at where we are right now. These workshops, these seminars, these classes, these time periods that we take out from our Saturdays and Fridays to focus on whatever we're going to be focusing on business-wise. When we leave here, and I was telling Faith this the other day, I think what happens here, I look at these seminars and these workshops as seeds. And let's say I was an apple farmer, right? My goal and my role in my business was to sell apples. So I come here, get the seeds on how to grow my business, and then I go back home and I focus on an apple. That sounds cool, right? I can make money off of that apple. But we're missing the in between. What does a seed make? Apples? Nuh-uh. Seed don't make an apple. Seed makes a what? So we miss the foundational component. When we leave these places, are we going back home and creating the foundation? Are we doing homework? Do we take notes? Do we gather information so that we now can go make apples? And we don't. We did it in school. We went to school. We did homework. Teachers would give us homework. We would go home. Well, teachers would give us classwork, right? They'll teach us something in the classroom. That's where we start off at. Once you get the classwork, what does the teacher do? Homework. They give you homework, you go home, do the homework, you study, and then you get prepared for what? The test. Test is life. This is the classwork. What we don't do when we leave here is what? The homework. That's not sustainable. And what happens is we end up failing the what? Every day. The learning doesn't stop in the classroom. The learning is supposed to be still continuing right now. These are nuggets. These are seeds. These are lessons. So what happens is these 5 things when you come to these workshops. And this is why these workshops fail. It ain't because of Marcus or the Jamersons putting it on. It's because we don't do our part at home. People get inspired, but they don't follow through. I met a lot of people last year. Probably less than 5% of them people contacted me last year. The people that contacted me are in a much better place this year than they were last year. I can give you the numbers. They'll let you know. But we don't follow up. Notes never convert into action. We take all these notes. We get all these business cards. We even get the agenda information. We get all that information, but it never follows up with any action. Old habits take over when we get back home. Raise your hand if that happens sometimes. Just be honest. Do you get back home after you learn something? Because you know what else? Where else this takes place? Church. Get out of my head. I love it. I love church. We spiritual gluttons, right? Pastor teaches us something. Stop worrying. Give it to God. Pray about it. Then we get back home, we pick up this. Now we stressed out because we didn't do what Pastor just told us to do. We didn't clean our properties off like somebody just told us to. We didn't get in contact with Purdue who was had all this research information that could have benefited our business. We didn't take advantage of it. So now we informational gluttons when we leave these conferences. Gluttony is a sin, I thought. Or what happens is there's no accountability, which means there's no evolution. So sometimes we'll show up to these conferences by ourselves. So there's nobody to keep us accountable for anything we've learned and picked up. Or you may show up with somebody and they don't keep you accountable either. So I've got a 12-year-old son, Faith's younger brother, and I'm trying to teach him things that are going to make him ready for college now. Because I keep telling, I say, DJ, at some point I can't keep coming tell you to clean up your room. But when you get to college, your roommate gonna tell you, you nasty. Why you keep leaving your clothes on the floor? Now you mad at your roommate because you're not taking care. No, you gotta learn these things right now. We got to keep each other accountable. But what happens is when raise your hand if you're a farmer, but you're also the key employee or in your business. It's a little tough to keep yourself accountable sometimes, right? But we have to. When we learn something, we're supposed to apply it. Number 5, information without implementation equals what? Can y'all read that? Stagnation. That means we just sit. What happened? Constipation. Shut up. Stop it. You constipated. We backed up now. He said it. I ain't saying it. What happens with stagnant water? I sit by my house. It's a pond backs up to my house. What normally happens around stagnant water? What flies around stagnant water? Mosquitoes, flies, pests. Pests. So now that's what we attract into ourselves, to our business. The issues, the problems. The problem didn't cause a problem. It was our reaction to the problem that caused the problem. Because there's problems all over the world, but they don't mean they're mine. It's how I react to that problem that turns it into a problem. So we end up picking those things back up. So this is what ends up happening. We're here. So I've got, that's me. I'm that big jug right there. All this information, right? All these presenters. He didn't tell you half of the stuff he knows. Probably a quarter of what he knows in reference to what he does at work. We only get an hour. We can only tell you so much. But then the thing is, you got access. So I had to speak at a conference in Detroit a couple months ago. And a friend of mine, he works for GM, high ranking in GM. And he says, man, if you come into town, I got you. I'm gonna pick you up from the hotel. We're gonna go out and eat, bring you to the house and the whole nine, right? He picks me up in a Cadillac Escalade IQ. All I know is about $160,000. And it was hands down one of the most beautiful vehicles I've ever been in my life. Beautiful car, electric, and it drives it by itself, whatever that is, self-driving. So we're talking, and I was like, man, this is nice. He says, you know what, Patrick? He says, all I want to do is be able to provide access. I said, because I know me, and my girls say, I'm not about to go spend $150,000 on a vehicle, but I got access to one. You sitting in rooms with $1 billion ideas from $1 billion industry of agriculture, and we don't take advantage of it? That doesn't make sense to me. The only thing that's stopping us from being billionaires, only thing that's stopping us from being sustainable, only thing that's stopping us from being prosperous is our mindset. At some point, we got to change it and just do better. We spend our lives being taught how to be taught. So this year I celebrated 50 years. I'm 50 years old. I know it's hard to believe. So I turned 50 this year. Also, me and my wife celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. On top of that, both of my two oldest daughters have graduated college. My youngest just graduated May from Clark Atlanta University. Faith graduated last year from North Carolina A&T. So I told the wife, look, this is monumental. This is huge. And we're going to travel this summer. So our goal was just to get out and travel and do those types of things. So with that, my goal was to understand where I am in life right now. I wanted to take a break back from work a little bit, figure out what my purpose in life was. And the crazy thing is, I've been operating my life for the past 50 years, not understanding what my purpose was. I was just doing versus being. I'm from a small town in South Carolina, Belton, South Carolina. Y'all can look it up. The population is about 4,500 people. Shoot, Faith's High School at North Central had more people than it's in my hometown. That's how small it is. One traffic light. Everybody, the town is so small, I couldn't date in the town because they were probably my cousin. And that's facts. It happened almost once. Boy, you can't talk to that girl. That's your cousin. Okay, Daddy. But what happened was this. I grew up in this small town. My mom was very active. My mom was a retired school teacher. She kept me involved in all types of things. My mom was also my Cub Scout den leader. She was over the Sunday school ministry. She was over the missionary. She kept me involved in things at the church. And I equated to, and some of y'all about around my age. Y'all remember the toy cars we had back in the day? We'd pull back, let go, and they just take off, right? So I felt like that's what my mom did to me. All my life when I was younger, she was pulling me back. I want you to be involved in community service. I want you to be involved in Cub Scouts. I want you to speak at this for this Easter speech, or this Christmas speech. I want you to go to church on Sunday. So she was just pulling me back to the point to where As I got older, she let me go, and I just kept doing the stuff she had taught me how to do. And I think that's what happens also in ag. We get the farm, we get the land that's handed down to us, and granddaddy, papa, mima, whoever did it this way, and that's what we continue to do without even knowing why we're doing it. It took me 50 years to understand my only purpose on this in this world. And raise your hand if you got goals. So let's see where we're in the same place. Raise your hand if you have goals. Everybody's got goals in life, right? I'm assuming. 6 this morning, God told me, I only want you to focus on one goal. He wakes me up 6, and this often happens. This happens a lot with me. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife will tell you, if she look over and I ain't in the bed, she know I'm in my word, right? So this morning about 6 o'clock, God wakes me up and says, I want you to focus on one goal. And the way I looked at it was confirmation for what was going on, even with this session. Goal for me, I broke it down, goal, GOAL. God or a loss. Which means if God ain't in it, I'm losing. And I know y'all ain't called me here to preach. I'm sorry. But I had to speak what's on my heart. So my focus right now, I've got one goal, and that's just to glorify God. Right? So that's my why. I do what I do because I want to glorify God. So when I have my consultations with my clients, my first question is, why are you doing what you do? Because I can't help you if I don't know your why. We've got to have an intimate conversation. Why is it something you're trying to figure out? Is it just for the money? Is it because you want to help the community? Is it because somebody else told you to do it? Is it because somebody pulled you back and let you go and now that's what you do? Is it because there was a problem in front of you and you figured out I need to solve it? So I've got unique superpowers. Okay. My superpower in reference to taxes and things I do as far as businesses is to help people rethink the way they do business, rethink the way they think about legacy, and even rethink the IRS. I want us to have mind shifts, and I'm going to show you how this works in a second. So mind shifting helps to create strategic clarity for farmers and business owners, and it helps you find the why behind your numbers. Raise your hand if you think when I say bookkeeping or accounting, raise your hand if you think math, numbers, right? That's what goes in your mind when I say bookkeeping and accounting, right? That's wrong. You know what bookkeeping and accounting is? Management. And I'm gonna show you. And I'm gonna show you also. I've been 30 years in the tax business, and the IRS works for me. They're not my enemy. They don't have it out against me. I don't think they run around with their hands in my pocket. They've created a system, and I've learned how to take that system and turn them into a contractor that works for me. That's the mindset I want you. They're a resource provider. They give out credits. They give out loopholes. They give out deductions. They give out leverage. What's the first thing they ask you for when you go buy a house? 2 years of what? Tax returns. They work for me. So the real question is this. When you understand your why, the how becomes clear. And the crazy thing is, and if you don't know the answer to your why, don't feel bad. Because most of the times I ask my clients this question, they start telling me stuff that they think sounds good. You know who else tells you things that sound good? That crackhead that you asked that question to. They can tell you, somebody who's in a bad place gonna tell you whatever the best thing is that come to their mind. And that's what happens in our businesses. We don't think about things with clarity. Why'd you start your business? What called you into agriculture? Or did anything call you into agriculture? You just got placed in it. Was it money? passion, purpose. What do you want to do with your land? Your business. And what do you want your life to say? So there's 3 levels. And these are 3 levels we have to look at. First, level 1 for me was heart. What was my passion? What was my calling? And what did I feel led to do? Something it took me 50 years to stop and ask myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have 4 businesses and 2 nonprofits right now. And I'm always doing something. I was telling somebody earlier today that one of my biggest issues, and can I be honest with y'all? We in a safe space here. Yeah, y'all shake your heads. I don't want to tell you my heart. Yeah, we not in a safe space. Tap her on the shoulder. Ask him, are we in a safe space? We in a safe space? Okay, all right. I did because you weren't looking at me because I can't be telling y'all my business if I ain't in a safe space. I've got an addiction. Okay, and I've suffered with this addiction for years. This addiction has caused problems at my house. This addiction has caused problems with my health. This addiction has caused problems with my relationships. It even at some points, I think it took away things and opportunities from even the way I raise my kids. And the addiction is workaholic. I'm addicted to work, or at least I was. My pastor put it this way. He said, I think at some point we have to move away from work and move more towards service, right? So if we can operate our farms and our businesses and our jobs and our careers and our opportunities in a mindset of service, that then comes fulfillment. That's God ordained. When we operate out of a place of work, now we feel like we're entitled. I'm obligated to show up to pay these because I got to pay these bills. So we got to look at the problem. I'm going to this work every day because I got to pay the bills. Well, let's just figure out another way to pay the bills. It's something that brings you joy and fulfillment versus something you feel like you're now obligated to do. All I'm saying is you don't have to wait 50 years to start that process. We can start figuring that out right now. That's the heart. There's a gentleman by the name of Myron Golden. I kind of follow him on Facebook and social media. Myron Golden, he's a faith-based business coach. And one of the things he said was, one of the biggest mistakes we make in life, listen to this, is following our heart. That don't sound right, do it? Because we were always taught to what? Follow our heart. A heart acts off of what? Emotion. How much thinking goes into emotion? Nah, thinking comes in a negative aspect sometimes from emotion. But if we allow emotion to control our lives, we make emotional decisions. How about following our mind and allowing our mind to then lead our heart? Because all the things that bring us joy and fulfillment are already in our heart, but they've got to be guided the right way. Business is the same way. I can give you a ton of ideas and things to do. And Marcus talked about it a minute ago. There's a concept, because you called it something else, the 80-20. I call it minimize to maximize. So when I talk to clients, I take a look at everything they're doing. Oftentimes when we got farms or a lot of acres or ideas and opportunities, our goal is to try to maximize all those things. So we hit the ground running, kind of like Purdue. Y'all got all these things going on, right? At Purdue, the beauty in that is you got a lot of people to do those things, those resources. So when we ask you, what's the main thing that Purdue does, it's everything, because you got a lot of people doing a lot of things. But raise your hand again if you said you were the key employee of the business, which means it's you trying to do Purdue, and that's just not sustainable, right? So we have to minimize to maximize. So I ask my clients, what's really your main breadwinner? What really makes you profit? Or even better yet, what brings you fulfillment in what you do? Let's just focus on that. Instead of all these other things, let's build that out first. and now we've got something to build a platform on. So I tell you, I had a client who she has about 3 acres of land, and she's a hemp farmer out of Chicago. So I asked her, how much of your land are you using? She says, less than a quarter of it. I said, what are you doing the rest of it? She says, nothing. I'm trying to figure that out. So we started talking about the things that she probably do. And I gave her a list of opportunities and things she could do with that land that would cost her absolutely no money at all. Rent out pieces of it. You've got greenhouse on the land you're not using. Rent the greenhouses out. Every Saturday, you go into farmer's market. Do a farmer's market on your property. So maximizing what you're already doing at a footprint that's not going to cost you your brain and your mind and the stress levels because you're trying to do all these other things. Now, could she plant a whole lot of stuff? Yeah. But how much productivity can she do trying to plant a lot of stuff and she's the only person working the farm? You're limited. So we have everything's case by case scenario. And then the hands. What's the execution? How sustainable is what you're doing? And what happens when you take your hands off the wheel? Can you take a vacation? Can you travel? Can you enjoy life? I mean, if you're working to provide a lifestyle, how much lifestyle are you having if you're working all the time? So we have to look at it. Look at that top corner. It says the IRS. Raise your hand. Does the IRS give you a headache? Yeah. Yeah. Is the IRS a necessary evil? Is that how you feel? If it was up to us, would we fool with the IRS? No, probably not. C, the IRS takes money without doing any other work. Raise your hand if you feel that way. I do all the work, but I got to give them the money. You feel that way sometimes when tax season comes? I look at IRS as D. The IRS is a service provider. We've got to rethink the way we approach the IRS. And that's my goal when I have these consultations with my clients, is let's rethink the way we look at taxes. Let's rethink the way we look at our business models. Taxes reflect habits. Don't get mad at the taxes, get mad at your habits. You didn't spend your money the right way, so now you're Uncle Sam. You mixed your personal money with your business money, now you got issues. You didn't set up your business the right way, now you pay extra taxes. You didn't use a Schedule F on your farm for your farm, you use a Schedule C. Or you made them $800,000 this year, you should have been an S corp or a corporation. Your entity's wrong. That's not the IRS's fault. You just didn't follow the guidelines. You don't have a tax problem. What does that say? You have a what? You have a documentation problem. Taxes aren't the issue. The tax code isn't the issue. It's how you approach the tax code is the issue. We actually, with the company, so Legacy Elevation Group I actually work for my daughter. This is her company. Faith focuses on policy updates for my clients. So she spends her day looking at policy updates, understanding the big, beautiful bill, and then she gives that information back out to clients. How do we maneuver and navigate through tax code, tax changes, lobbyist changes, and those types of things. Tax returns tell the story of your what? I'm making y'all read today. Tax returns tell the story of your what? Your decisions. The IRS didn't make your decisions. You did. That's all the tax code, that's all the tax return does. Farmers are rewarded when the tax code, if records are kept. My goal is to make my clients audit proof. IRS don't like me. I actually look forward to an audit sometimes. It's a thrill. Because 99% of my audits that I go through, the IRS ends up owing my clients more money. Because I get mad. I take it personal. I shouldn't. You going to audit one of my people? Okay, all right. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Give us some more money. I don't fear them. And I don't want us walking into IRS audits or issues with fear. And the best way to not have to worry about fear is having your stuff together. You're audit proof. It's bigger than bookkeeping. Your books are clearly simply a mirror to your decisions. Bookkeeping equals management, not math. Books reveal patterns and clarity. I can look at your bank account and tell you what's important to you. So I did a consultation with a client. This was years ago, and I was talking to him, and him and his wife they were stressed out. So Datcher, we need to talk about our budget. We make good money, but we're living off our credit cards right now, and we can't make ends meet. So they came into the office. I said, "Well, tell me how much money you make." And they told me how much both of them made. I said, "Well, here's a list. Here's a sheet. Give me a breakdown of all your expenses on a monthly basis, right?" And I even took the expenses and averaged them up. And when I got finished, I was like, "Well, according to what you say you make, and according to your bills, you have money. You should have good money left over." He says, "Well, we don't." I said, "Let me see your bank statements." He said, "My bank statements?" I said, "Yeah, let me see your bank statements. Because something's not adding up. You're not telling me something." So I looked at his bank statements, and Monday through Friday, every day, I would see Chick-fil-A, $18. Arby's, $13. McDonald's, $27. I was like, "Man, what is this?" He says, "Well, when I pick the kids up from school, we stop, I only had time to go home and eat. Cook them nothing, so because they got football practice and baseball practice and soccer practice. So we just stop and grab something to eat real quick." So, okay, all right. So I made a little note of that. And then I looked on there every day, around the same time every day was $1.50, 75 cents, $1.50. Tuesday, $1.50, 75 cents, $1.50. Wednesday, 75 cents, $1.50, $1.50. Every day. I was like, "What is this?" He says, "Well, concession stand at my job, the canteen at my job, I just give me some chips and something to drink." And I was like, "Okay." So I say, "Tell me this. Raise your hand if you ever had a job, if you worked anywhere. Raise your hand." I'm assuming that's everybody, right? Marcus, if your job came to you and say, "Look, here's your paycheck. We appreciate you working. How about you give some of that money back?" What you gonna tell them? Absolutely not. I said, "You paying your job back every day when you could take your tail to Costco and get the same snacks for what you spent in 1 week and take care of 2 months." We talking about candy bars and sodas. You paying three and shoot. That was years ago. Bottled water now is what, $4? When you get a whole case at Costco for $5. We're just not thinking these things out, and that's what happens with our budgets. We make it unclear. We got unclear books. We could make unclear decisions. Raise your hand if you have an estate plan set up. Yeah, that's a problem. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you had a conversation with an estate attorney. Raise your hand if you understand what a trust is. Where's your praise you? I love you. I love your hat too. If we don't understand what legacy is and how to create legacy platforms, shouldn't we go talk to somebody that does? It just make good sense. We go get help about everything else, but then we try to figure our businesses out on our own. It don't make sense. We'll go spend more time at the barbershop and hair salon we do trying to figure out how to run our business. That's scary. Estate planning is agriculture planning when it comes to ag. The land must outlive the farmer. How do we make that happen without losing it? You're passing down instructions, not acres. I'm not sure what everybody's is. Anybody have got left land from somebody that passed away? Did they give you instructions on what to do with that land? Nope. Have you created instructions for the person that's coming behind you? She gave you instructions. There we go. That's what I'm saying. It makes a difference. She learned a lesson. And we don't do that. You're passing down instructions, not just acres. Successors need clarity and structure. And they also need freedom to do things differently than you did it. That speak volumes. Did that speak? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God told me to tell you that. I'm sorry. I had to be obedient. Documentation prevents generational conflict. I sit on, between me and my cousins right now, we sit on 50 acres in South Carolina. The land was my mom's and her siblings. My mom has since passed away, and two of my uncles have passed away. So now it's left between my aunt, my uncle, and all their kids. 106 acres, same situation. Just two kids. Thank God. Thank God. So now I've got to figure out, because it's an act of Congress almost, to get all my cousins on the phone at the same time to discuss what we're going to do with this land. So I've been praying about it. God, show me what you want me to do. So I'm waiting on that answer. So my thought is right now, I'm probably going to buy them out. Because they don't. So that's 50 acres on my mom's side. My granddaddy, when he was getting paid, my granddaddy died when he was 96 years old. That was one of my best friends. I would literally, we lived about a mile and a half or so apart. And I would wake up in the morning, I would jog to his house. We'd sit down in his room, in his kitchen, and have Sanka coffee. Y'all young folks don't know about no Sanka. We'd have Sanka coffee, oatmeal, turkey bacon, and he would drink goat milk. I couldn't get with the goat milk. But he and I would talk about legacy and what he wanted to leave for the family. So granddaddy so I grew up on two farms. But my dad's father had goats and chickens. And it sat on 5 acres of land. He says, Datrick, I want to leave the land to you when I pass away. I said, well, Papa, that's great. I appreciate that. But you got 5 kids, and one of them my daddy. He says, I don't care. He says, they don't want it. I said, well, we need to have a conversation. So my granddaddy called all the kids in, including my daddy, and he sat them down in the den area. My granddad, I could just see him now sitting in the corner of his chair. He says, look, he said, Datrick wanted me to have y'all come in. Because in his mind, I already made my decision. Datrick wanted me to have y'all come in so we could have a discussion about what I'm going to do with my land when I pass away. And I want Datrick to have it. But he wanted me to make sure none of y'all wanted it. And none of them wanted it. They grew up working the land. In their mind, there was no succession plan. They didn't care about, all they could think of was the work they did, not what could be done for the future. My mind was set on for the future. So my grandfather passed away. I took over the property. We took the house and rehabbed the house. We Airbnb the house out now. And now we use the land to rent out for people who want something for large functions and events. I'm trying to actually create a partnership with the school system now to turn it into part of their ag program, to maximize the land for that way as well. But of course, after I did all the upgrades to the property, everybody got something to say now. But it doesn't matter because the documentation is already stated that Datrick owns the property. But he created a plan. What happens is, if my grandfather had passed away, those 5 kids of his have kids. Those kids have kids. And everybody would have had a say-so or an opinion about what should be done with this property. He made the decision to make sure it was done the right way. We don't think about those things, unfortunately, until it's too late. Risk management for farmers. The operational risk, which means you don't have systems or structures or records in place. That's a problem. Financial risk. We make tax mistakes, missing deductions, unclear cash flow. Raise your hand if you wake up every day thinking about taxes. Raise your hand if you wake up thinking about taxes and you also take that time to research tax law, tax credits, tax deductions, How to file the best tax return. You need a job? We need to talk. And if you're spending that much, we need to talk. Most people don't. So why are you doing your taxes yourself? I could change my own oil in my car. I could take that hour, get up under the car, put on my dirty clothes, and do what I got to do. But I'm probably gonna miss something. So I take it to the mechanic to get it done the right way. Am I out of time? Am I running out of time? Y'all throw my hands up when y'all know I like to talk. I'm like a Baptist preacher. The but I'd rather take it to professional. Every aspect of your business that's not your expertise, and you're not going to take the time to do the research, find the help to get it done. That's how we create sustainability. Legacy risk. That means there's no succession plan in place, no estate plan, no trust, no documentation, no transfer plan, no leadership clarity, none of those things in place. And then we leave it up to somebody else to figure out when you're gone. That's not fair. So record keeping tools, QuickBooks Online, the Farm Raise app, Google Sheets, monthly strategies. So when you look at that slide, the first thing that probably popped out at you when you looked at it was best record keeping tools. But the main thing you should look at was that first line up there. What's that first line say? The best system is the one you're going to actually use. QuickBooks means absolutely nothing if you're not using it right. You know how many times I have clients spend more, I spend, faith to tell you, I spend more time fixing stuff than we do setting stuff up. I got QuickBooks. We've been doing QuickBooks, using QuickBooks for 3 years. I take a look at the QuickBooks, and the QuickBooks does not match the bank statements at all. According to QuickBooks, you got $3 million in the bank. When I look at your bank statements, you're overdraft. Something's not matching up. You didn't reconcile your books. You didn't make all your entries. It's not connected to your bank statements. Something's off. Sustainability. Soil sustainability, we talked about that. Feeding the land. Business sustainability means feeding your systems. We've got to do both. We can't just focus on how our land is taken care of. We got to make sure our systems are taken care of too. And then with myself, it's the soul sustainability. I got to feed myself. How do I get peace? Am I living in fulfillment? Am I doing the things that God wants me to do with my purpose, with my business entity? So this is how I can help. Like I said, I'm going to give it to you again. So it's two things. The QR code on the left is a free consultation. It's 30 minutes. The one on the right is what we call our Get Rooted newsletter. That's where we give you information about things that are going on in the nation, globally, in reference to agriculture. So things I learned in Chicago. Okay, I'm good. Things I learned in Chicago, I bring back to Indy. Things I learned in Detroit, I bring back to Indy. Or things I learned in Indy, I take to those places as well. And then we put the information on our Get Rooted newsletter. So I'm just asking you to get plugged in. We're working on a few more things when it comes to social media and the TikTok platforms that I'm going to let my younger folks take care of and those types of things. But our goal is to get more information out. You know, at some point we're going to have a Get Rooted app, and we'll have a Get Rooted podcast that we look at as well. So we'll be able to get more information out to you in the masses. We'll have the Chambersons to come speak and do those types of things and give you information on Black Loam. But get aligned, get organized, get strategic, get rooted, get legacy ready. So real quick, and you said, so I probably got about 7-8 minutes, right? So this is what I normally do in a consultation. These are some points that I cover when we do a consultation with clients, right? This is kind of our checklist. What's your purpose and what's your direction? These are questions that you need to ask yourselves. This is free work. My goal is just to make sure we're rethinking or at least thinking when we leave here, right? Why did I start the business? What problem am I truly trying to solve? I met with a couple the other day, actually today, and they were talking about their biggest issue right now is trying to figure out how to get the husband away from his regular job so he can help work the farm full time. So let's figure that out. That's a problem they're trying to solve. So the goal is now to focus on just that. Does my business align with my long-term purpose? What does my success look like 5, 10, 20 years from now? If you haven't stopped to start asking these types of questions yet, we may have a problem with sustainability. Who's dependent on me? Who's dependent on me now and in the next generation? So when I make decisions about things I'm going to do that not only just affect me, but affect people in my inner circle that I love. So I make strategic moves that have effect for my kids, my wife, my friends that I want to take along. But you can't take everybody with you. We ain't trying to save the world, but you got to figure out who God has placed in front of you that you're supposed to be taking care of. Do I have a written process? Do I have written processes for how the business runs? Could someone else step in the operation if the business needed to? If I'm that key person, what happens when I get sick? Because our clients don't really care about us being sick. Faith to tell you, I went down this past tax season. I got sick, and I had a client that reached out to me on a Wednesday and said, "Patrick, I want to book an appointment with you for next week to get my taxes done." I said, "Well, before I book an appointment with folks, I need you to send me your documents first. I'm gonna look at your information, and if I can, we're gonna plug the information in because I'm not just gonna sit on a Zoom call with you for an hour while you watch me type in W-2s. That doesn't make sense to me. So send me your information in first. We'll key it in, and then I'll book the appointment." This was Super Bowl. This was right before Super Bowl weekend. That weekend, I ended up catching a cold. I got sick. So that Monday comes, I try to go to work still. I try to push through. I'm hurting. That Tuesday, Faith and my wife were like, "Look, you need to go get in the bed. You can't do no more. We'll take care of the business. Don't worry about it." Well, that Wednesday comes. I'm shutting down. That Wednesday comes. Okay. That Wednesday comes. The client sends a message that says, "I'm waiting on you to send me my link for the Zoom call." She was never on my appointment because she still hadn't sent me her documentation. So my staff responds and says, "We apologize," because they had to push all my appointments back. "We apologize for the miscommunication, but Patrick is ill right now and he will not be able to make any appointments. We can reschedule something for next week." Her response was, what was her response, Faye? She said, "That's so unprofessional." Mind you, I have been working with this lady for over 20 years. I helped her start her business. I grew her from her real estate practice of trying to figure out how to pay the bills to now making almost 7 figures. Excuse me, high 6 figures. I grew her business to where she's doing it full time. I helped her hire employees, all these things over the years. And she says, out of this one time that I go down sick, she says, "That's unprofessional. I think I'm gonna find somebody else to do my taxes." They don't care. And if we go down, who's gonna step in? Could someone else step in and operate the business if needed? What tasks only I know how to do? There's parts, and I'm gonna be honest with you, there's parts of my business that only I can do, which means I get pulled back to doing those things when it needs to be done. But what I'm trying to do right now is hand off all those components of my business. I want to completely be able to take my hands off the wheel outside of doing this right here. This is what brings me fulfillment. Are my records organized or scattered? And do I have a plan for smooth day-to-day operations? Are my books current and accurate? Do I know my monthly numbers, my income, expenses, and my cash flow? Do I have a separation between business and personal finances? Raise your hand when you first started your business. You were mixing your personal expenses with your business? Yeah. I won't put you on the spot because I know some of y'all probably still doing that. And am I documenting expenses correctly for future deductions? And do I have a strategy for taxes, not just tax filing? There's a difference. Tax strategy is trying to figure out how to maximize that return. to your benefit, to where you can leverage your business when you walk into the bank to get a loan. Not just filing the return at the end of the year to get some earned income credit. It's bigger than that. What would happen to my business if I got sick? Do I have backups or key tasks in relationships? Are my insurance, licenses, and compliance up to date? Are my contracts written and legally sound? What risks should shut my business down? What risk could shut my business down tomorrow? And then we look at leadership. It's not who takes over, it's who's prepared to take over leadership. Who are the key people I rely on? Have I invested in training them? Does anyone understand the business besides me? Am I delegating or am I drowning? Who is being prepared to lead? And then we talk about legacy is intentional, it's not accidental. If something happened to me, does my family know what to do? Do I have a written succession plan? Do I have documentation how the business works? Do I have a will, a trust, operating agreement? Does the next generation understand the mission and the numbers? And then personal sustainability. Am I running a business or is the business running me? Am I resting, thinking, and planning or just reacting? Do I have margin in my life? Am I growing as a leader? Am I aligned with the calling behind the work? And I know I got to close this out. And we can talk, if you want to have a conversation, I can tell you my story. My story in reference to why this is so important to me to tell other people that ended me up in the hospital with 90% blockage in my main artery was stress and doing too much. And that addiction that I was telling you about me working too doggone much. I don't want y'all to go through the same things. Which areas need strengthening? Ask yourself honestly. My purpose, my systems, my finances, my risk, my team, my legacy, my personal sustainability, or is it all seven? That's all I got. Love you guys. Be blessed. No, thank you.
There's a reason why we closed out with that, and I always appreciate the insight. I think you sparked that feeling and that sense of how we're making sure we're doing our diligence. You know,
Oh, I do.
okay. Now, we truly appreciate everything. Just to close us out, I do want to recognize our 2025 Community of Excellence Award winner, recipient. This is an annual award, something that we've started doing. Like I said, we're on our second award. We recognize somebody for their being a trailblazer, basically in their community, and the work that they're doing, inspiring others, community change. Can I get a drum roll, please? Miss Suzanne Miller. Mrs. Suzanne Miller. Thank you. So the recipient of this award